Pregame.tv, happy to be talking college football. Some season win numbers just came out in faraway places. Today, we're going to talk about your Florida Gators. Won 11 games last year. This year, total opened up 9.5 early money in the under, now minus 160. They won 11 last year, Bryan Leonard. They should be able to win 10, right?
The problem everybody has, which is why I'm here to try to explain a little bit. I know you really like this game under. I hope I didn't blow.
Flip the card.
Just go. Make it official.
We're done.
It's like Marco. I have pocket aces just full.
We switched seats one time, and that's it.
And I screwed it all up. What happens is people go through the schedule.
Good videos coming up. You can just go ahead and bet it now. You don't have to listen.
That's this one. The way they look at these games is they'll say, Florida, that's a win. That's a loss. That's a win. And the way you got to break it down is you got to do your power ratings, go through each and every game, figure out what the power ratings are, figure out what the percentages are that they're going to win that game. You add them all up. That's how you get your season wins.
Example, UNLV, as bad as they've been, they won on the road against Arizona State like 4 years ago, right? That would be the poster child where everyone who did the Arizona State season wins that year said 100% that they win that game. Should have used 0.96, right?
Yeah. In fact, Toledo is playing Florida first game of the season. I make Florida a 24-point favorite. 24 points favorites win about 93% of the time.
Toledo's going to be good?
Pretty good team. Mm-hmm. They've always had a pretty good team when they're healthy. But they got, in my opinion, they got a 93% chance. So they got a 0.93 chance of winning that game. And you add up every game as they have all season long off of your power ratings, you come up with a win number, and that's how you do your season wins. At least that's how I do the season wins.
That's how I do them.
And it's been successful.
Very successful.
And what do you have the season wins at?
I got it at 8.47.
8.5 wins?
Call it 8.5. You're getting a whole win. And half a win, as you know, in the NFL it's worth about 50 cents, but half a win
in college
worth more, probably more like 70 cents on just a half. So if we get a whole win, that's worth 140 cents. Sounds to me like you are in very much agreement.
I'm in agreement, and there's a couple games where these lines were also on the gold nugget lines. So we actually have bettable lines out there, not only my power ratings, the bettable lines from the gold nugget.
And you were conservative, and a couple of them
I was conservative.
Florida more credit than the gold nuggets.
Yeah, I gave them slightly more credit. Probably overall the entire schedule they put out there, probably 2 points. So they're slightly higher. So the gold nugget is saying maybe 8.4, 8.35. So I think we've got a pretty good bet here, but I'll let you talk about it.
VR, you like the Florida Gators. Talk to me.
I do. I'll tell you, I like the improvement we saw last year. I mean, you got to remember, Driscoll was a sophomore. It was his first year as a starter. Granted, they had Gillespie as a stud running back. But this kid's stepping in for him right now. From what I heard in spring ball, they expect their running back position not to lose a single step with this Matt Jones kid. So they're going to be fine at running back. Now you have Driscoll in his second year. Here's a kid in his first year that threw only 5 interceptions. That's as efficient as you get for a first-year starter in the SEC of all places. He's not playing in in an easy conference. He's playing against the best defenses every single week, and he only threw 5 interceptions. And if you look at the head coach, Muschamp, he had a 4-game improvement from his prior year. And they weren't really loaded last season, Florida was. I think if this team, if they could have receivers that step up, because they only have one wide receiver back from last year that caught more than a handful of balls. If they step up at the wide receiver position, I really do think they have a chance to get to the SEC title game because of this defense. Up front, they're monsters on the defensive line. Their secondary is so talented. They don't have any standout at linebacker, but from what I hear, they're solid. They're just not any standout players yet. But I think as the season goes on, one of these kids is going to evolve as a big-name player. If you're playing linebacker at Florida, you're pretty damn good.
What I was going to add, we're talking about, and a lot of people like to use returning starters. Mm-hmm. Florida has 10 returning starters. I believe it's 6 offense, 4 defense, including the quarterback, as you mentioned. The returning starters for an SEC team are totally different than the returning starters for a MAC team. So pay attention to who the starters are. These teams come back and they reload each and every year. And you mentioned Muschamp. It's his 3rd year at the helm.
That's the magic year.
The 3rd and the 4th year is when these guys really start getting everything.
And he's got 8 offensive linemen he said that he could win football games with. He said he never had that before.
Well, here's my problem with these 8 offensive linemen. If this team was any good, you talk about the 5 interceptions. I view Florida as a team where they just gave up at them halfway halfway through the year and said, look, we're just going to hand the ball off
to Leslie and let him go.
Stop turning the ball over, and we're going to grind out these games because our defense is so good.
Yeah,
It's kind of like that movie, The Program. Remember The Program?
Yeah.
They lost their Heisman Trophy candidate, and they just had to hand the ball off and try to win.
Yeah.
Look at some of these scores. It's embarrassing. Missouri, 14-7 win. 14 points. Great defense, no offense. All right, one game. Louisiana Lafayette, 27-20. And then what could be the most damning of them all, Jacksonville State, 23-0. Defense pitches the shutout. 23 points. Indiana gets 28 against Jacksonville State.
No, I agree. And let's face it, in the SEC, having a bad year is an easy thing to happen to a team. You know, I mean, it's the best conference in all of college football. So it's not as if I'm saying that, you know what, I expect Florida to be the elite, to be better than Alabama, to be better than LSU. Absolutely not. But I do think, as far as personnel goes, I think they're a little bit undervalued. I really do, because of how good Alabama is, because of how good LSU is. I think they don't get the hype they did when they were winning national championships.
I agree with you, but isn't it possible Florida is better this year, but they do a lot worse?
That's what could happen. That's why I agree with you guys, and I'm not running to bet the over, because that could happen in the SEC.
Look at that. We talk about LSU. We talk about South Carolina. They killed South Carolina last year. That was like a horrible spot. South Carolina just had a huge win the week before. And so, like, there's certain games, if you're looking for situational spots, that you would circle. You'd say right now the Gold Nugget is South Carolina -5 against Florida. And you just add it up. If I go back to Bryan, and this is why he got to his numbers, if you look at their schedule, that's coming up this year, and they have so many games at LSU, at South Carolina, Florida State, Georgia, and if you just start at Miami, you take those 5 games and you say 3-2 or 2-3.
Exactly.
And now they got all these other games at Kentucky and
that's why I can't go bet the over. But I think as far as in the SEC, I think they're a little undervalued because of just how dominant Alabama and LSU are. So you like their
spread record's going to be fine, but
I think against the market they'll overperform. Meaning they'll outperform the market, but I could see them going under season win totals.
Let me ask you this: on your power ratings, you have LSU. You talked about them. I know you follow them very well.
Yeah, I'm high on LSU this year. I love that everybody's giving them no respect.
You like LSU better than Florida?
Yes.
How many points above do you think?
I'd make on a neutral field. I'd make LSU about a 2.5 point favorite over Florida.
I made them equal. So.
And LSU lost 14-6 last year to Florida State. Yeah. Revenge. It's in Baton Rouge. You got to figure, this is lined up very badly for this team.
I'm going to tell. Don't be surprised if LSU gives Alabama, or everybody's already crowning Alabama. Tell me, the last time this isn't an LSU talk, but the last time LSU wasn't ranked, the last 2 times, AP preseason top 11. You know what they did. They won a national championship, and they've lost a total of like 2-3 games. This team, when they're underrated, they have a way of really stepping up.
Yeah. Absolutely. I agree. Let me go ahead and make this official here on Florida. And boy, is it good to be talking college.
I love it.
Florida Gators, I'm going to steal from an NFL concept which sometimes doesn't work so well in college football, as people know, but regression. Whenever an NFL team suddenly wins 4 or more games from the year before, we always look for them maybe to take a step back. But in college football, it can be even worse, because now you're playing all these teams, and big-time revenge it comes into play. This is going to happen to Notre Dame this year. I'm going to predict they go under. I was thinking about making them my pick, but my pick today, Florida Gators. I see those 5 games against tough teams. I think they're going to lose at South Carolina. I think they're going to go ahead and lose at LSU. They got to run the table to beat me. I see an improving team, a team that's better than last year. Certainly offensively, it goes 8-4. We cash our ticket with a game to spare. It is my free play college football.
I like it. Watch out, Alabama.
I went to the window to cash my Alabama to win it all 3-1 ticket. They said the season hasn't even started. I said, come on.
Watch out, Alabama.
There's no way in hell you're betting Alabama 3-1 to win it all. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, exactly.
I know you well enough.
Miami Heat are 3-1 right now. You can bet that.
That's what I laid 150 that they're going to win it all.
Next year.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. 3-1. That's a gift. That's like, thank you, God. That's why it's pretty damn good when you laying 150 like I did.
Exactly. Well, we'll be doing videos all summer long here. Never too early to talk about football. football, especially when you're me and you have no betting acumen or competence at Major League Baseball. So
Come on,
I'm just happy
on.
they keep me around. All right, maybe I can take some things you guys give me and work with it. So stick with us here, pregame.tv.
Are we talking page?